All right? That's how potent laudanum is. You don't just take a big shot. It doesn't work that way. I'm going to measure it out in drops depending on your constitution and your size. So if you're a big fellow, you get more, and if you're a little slight lady, you're going to take less. So I might give you a big dose of laudanum. Then, also, if you're in a great deal of pain, here it is. You all knew this was coming. Ha-ha. All right? This, now, sometimes it's a stick. Sometimes it's a leather strap. You've heard all the stories. All right? Mine in particular is a roll of pigskin leather. So it is soft. Because I find that a stick or chewing on a musket ball or something like that, it tends to be very hard on the teeth. And the first thing you discover as a surgeon in His Majesty's Navy is that every single sailor you meet has teeth like he just got let out of debtor's prison. All right, they're not good. Now, you can chew on a musket ball. I mean, it's just lead. What's it going to hurt? All right, but what I give them is I give them a little pigskin leather strap. It's actually a leftover piece from this apron that I made years ago. It's a leftover scrap from this that I just rolled up and tied on the ends. It's very soft. It's not going to damage your teeth, and you can scream your brains out into it. Now the next thing, oh yes. So now, if I cannot fetch it out with my fingers, we're going to have to go a-probing, all right? This is called a bullet probe. And I know what you're thinking to yourself, Doctor, what is that ribbon on there for? I'll tell you in a minute, all right? Now, so what we do is, here's my wound right here. Remember, that's where the musket ball went. We're going to put this down into the wound, and we're going to try to find that ball. Let's see if you can hear it. Now, I've either struck the ball or I'm hitting a bone. My money says that's the musket ball. There it is. Now, this musket ball, this bullet probe, serves a multitude of purposes. First of all, it allows me to find where the ball is gone. All right, that's what we just did. It also allows me to gauge the depth of the wound. It's about that deep because I put my finger on it. All right, that's a pretty deep wound. And next, also, it serves to straighten the wound channel from the point of entry to the musket ball, because you need a nice straight channel so that I can get the next tool in there to fetch it out. So let's put that there like so. Oh, also, by the by, if you were to come into either my civilian office or into the orlop deck on board the ship, I would have someone there to help me hold you in position. Because one time I was removing a musket ball, and the fellow got his arm loose and he punched me right in the stomach. I was none too pleased. His commanding officer got an earful, I can promise you. Now next, the next instrument that I use are these fellows. Now I know you're thinking they look like a great big pair of scissors, but these are called musket ball forceps, and they are not sharp like scissors. They are made specifically for grabbing onto things. Specifically, in this case, they're made for grabbing onto that musket ball right there. So let's see if I can get it. Now, keep in mind, speed is your friend. You've got a dose big belly full of laudanum, but it doesn't make you forget having this done. It just makes you not mind remembering so much later on. And there it is, and out you come, like so. Now, oh, that's very satisfying. Now, you've got a big, deep, open wound. Huzzah. All right, so now is where the ribbon comes into play. So if you've ever had a great, big, deep wound before, you know that that wound is stupid. All right? What's a big, deep wound want to do? It wants to heal on the surface first before it's healed on the inside. And then what happens? You get a great abscess and a fever, and it's very unpleasant. So here's what we do. I'm going to take this ribbon, and that wound was about yay deep, and I'm going to push this down into that wound as deep as it will go. And then I'm going to pull it until it releases from the eye. There we go, just like so. And now, let's take a look at that wound cross-section. By the way, this is a very sophisticated wound cross-section model that I've made just for you. It's also called my left hand. All right? So notice, here's the surface of that wound. Notice what's down in there, that ribbon. Now the ribbon works as an adjutant. it does not allow, wherever that ribbon is, it does not allow that wound to heal. So what I'm going to do is, I would send you back home or to your bunk, and I would say to your wife or your friends, now here's what you need to do. You now need to draw it out about 1/4 of an inch each day until it's all the way out. So what happens is, wherever that ribbon is, that wound will not heal. But when I draw it out, what's going to happen is, a little bit, wherever that ribbon is not, what's it going to do? It's going to heal, that's right. So a little bit each day allows it to heal in the way from the deepest part of that wound until you get to the surface in the way that it really ought to, until it's all the way out and hopefully that wound has healed, because it allows it to stay open and drain and do all the things it needs to do, all that unpleasant stuff that it needs to do. Now, if something happens and it gets drawn out too quickly, what might happen is you might get an abscess, and then you have to come back to me and say, doctor, it got snatched out too quick, and now I've got all this pain and an abscess. And I say, well, that's all right, because I've got the Trocar. Now, the Trocar, I know what you're thinking in the back there, you with your face covered. You're thinking, doctor, that looks like a great big spike. That's because it is. All right? It is a great big pointy spike, the Trocar is. Now, you'll notice it's actually 2 pieces. It's got a little sheath, which is also a funnel, and then it's got the pointy bit, that's called the stylus. So now here's what I'm going to do. If you came in to me and I've got this abscess and we're going to have to take care of it, I'm going to place it atop like so, and I'm going to say, sir, here we go. We're going to count to 3. Ready? 1. All right? Those of you with children know you never, ever do it on 3. Never, ever. Because they're tense and they're, 1, done. My children know that trick now, and they say, no, you're going to do it on 1. Now, so now it's in there. So now we're going to draw out the center. That's the spiky bit. And now, down in the middle, you've got this funnel, which allows me to, first of all, drain that wound, because it's going to have to get drained. And then it also allows me to flush it out with medicinals and things of that nature. All right? So now, we're done with that. I'm satisfied that we've got rid of the abscess. Then you know what we're going to do. We're going to do this again, but this time don't snatch it out so quick. All right? So that's work. That's musket ball removal right there. That's it. Now, do you recall, if I can find the musket ball, what I said that one of these would do to a bone? That's absolutely would shatter a bone. Now, musket balls are strange. I've seen lots of examples of musket balls that struck a bone and got lodged, or struck a bone and deflected, and barely did anything to the bone. And then there are some where it will strike the bone and the lead will actually flatten. There are many examples of that. It'll hit a bone and just go bloop, like that, and won't do anything. But there are more examples of it actually shattering a bone than anything else. So, I'm going to require a volunteer who would like to have me cut their arm off this evening. Anyone? I can't cut off my own arm. It doesn't work that way. John, can I cut off your arm, please, sir? All right, so poor John, stand right here, John. Poor John, he's doing something and he's broken his arm, or he's got shot and he's broken his arm. But you also get examples of children falling out of trees and things like that who've broken arms and things. And sometimes it's not that we don't, in 1812, understand that bones can be put back together and heal. We understand that if you can get the ends together back where they're supposed to go, that that will knit and it will heal, and you mobilize the arm for a while, and it's good as new. And some surgeons and doctors do actually have great success setting bones and things. I am not one of those. It is a very difficult thing to do. I've had some success. The problem is, if only they would invent some sort of magic machine where I could look inside his arm and see the bone. If only. All right? But let me show you how I will set a bone. Yeah, that feels broken. Let's see if we can get it back where it belongs. That's how you do it. That's it right there. That's it. So, good luck, everyone. Terribly sorry about your arm. All right? So then what would happen is they would try to set it, and 9 times out of 10, you'd get a great gangrenous infection, and it runs up to your heart, and it will kill you. Or you get the great gangrenous infection, and we catch it in time, and I come up above it and amputate. It's terrible. You got to make sure you catch it all. So what we at 1812, the reason amputation is so common is I'm trying to avoid all that middle unpleasant part where you get the gangrenous infection and you're going to have to come back and see me 10 times. You know what? If I can just spare you all that by cutting that off straight away, let's just do that. It sounds terrible, but I'm really trying to do you a service. All right? And that's why they amputated. That's why it was so common in that era, because they're trying to spare you all that unpleasant bit in the middle. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend like he's got his broken arm, and it's broken right in here. There's 2 bones here. If even one of them's broken, especially if it's protruding from the skin, it's got to go. So what we're going to do is there's probably blood. So we're going to put this on there. This is a mechanical tourniquet. What a fascinating modern age we live in. So let's put this fellow on here. You're the only one that gets to feel this tonight. All right, so now that's pretty comfortable, yeah? Mm-hmm. All right, it's about to get really tight. So I'm going to turn this like so, and it starts to get, you can feel it, it starts to get, now I could screw it all the way up to the top, and then we'd have to really amputate your arm. So I'm going to make it pretty comfortable. That's right there, good. So we're just going to pretend. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a big dose of laudanum. Huzzah! So you're not a terribly large fellow. And a little extra for you. All right. All right, take this with your good arm. There you go. And drink up. Oh, very good theatrical drinking, sir. Now, next, we're going to give him something to bite on. That would be this. You don't really want to bite on it. I chew on it all day long. I've chewed on it 6 times this week so far. It's delicious. Okay, so now next, let's think about the arm and how it's built. On the surface, you've got the skin. Just below the skin, you've got another soft layer, which is muscle. And then at the core of all that, you've got a hard layer, which is bone. All right, so we've got to have something to cut the soft layers, and then I've got to have a different thing to cut the hard layer. So here we go. Are you ready? Again, speed is the order of the day. This is called the capital amputation knife. Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Are you ready? This one, by the time you get to me in 1812, is already sort of an antique. This style, this curved style, has actually gone out of fashion. And in 1812, now we use this fellow. And by the way, as I was telling him earlier, this is one of the 2 original pieces in my collection. This is a real capital amputation knife from 1812, and it is extremely sharp. So here in just a moment, I'm going to set it down very carefully and use the fake one. All right? But this is the real deal. This is what I would be using in 1812. It's long and straight and extremely sharp. It's still sharp. It holds an edge like no one's business. So we're going to pretend with the not sharp one, but it would be extremely sharp. And you'll notice this older style. What do you notice between this one and that one? It's curved. And it's curved to more easily conform to the curvature of the arm or the leg that you're working on. It gives you more cutting surface. In theory, it's supposed to go a little faster. All right? So this would be very sharp right up until the moment they'd probably sharpen it for me, right until the moment it was time for me to put it in my hand and cut his arm. And with 2 cuts, I'd cut right through the skin and the muscle right to the bone. And it goes just like so. Like so. And we're through. All right? Aren't you glad you came? All right, so then I would have a strap or something to separate everything just a little bit. I've got to come above the break. And I'm going to employ this fellow, everyone's favorite. That's right. Now, you call it the bone saw, which is a fairly common name for it. This is called the capital amputation saw. It is for the large bones of the arms and the legs. I actually have a smaller one called the metacarpal saw. And this one is dainty, isn't it? I almost feel like I should have my pinky up when I cut with it. All right? It's a metacarpal saw. It is for the small bones of the fingers and the toes. All right? So there you have it. So now this one, you'll notice it's got a pistol grip on it. That is so that when the handle becomes great with gore and blood, that it does not accidentally slip out of my hand. Because nobody wants to have to reach down in the middle of a surgery and pick this up off the floor and have to wipe it and continue.